Hello children, welcome to the chemistry class. So till now we have discussed about the unit 1, that is language of chemistry. Now we are moving into the chemical changes and reactions, that is the second chapter. So let's introduce what is a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction. So first of all we need to know what is a chemical reactions. So chemical reaction is a chemical change in which a matter changes into new substances. That is, in a chemical reaction, the substances taking part in reaction are reactants and the transformed into one or more new substances called products. And chemical changes are categorized into two. One is physical and one is physical changes and chemical changes. A physical change is that is melting of ice, shedding the paper, mixing grey and green marbles, chopping wood. And chemical change, a reaction occurs and new product are formed as chemical change. Burning wood, roasting banana, fireworks, mixing vinegar and baking soda, that gives a new change. In a physical change, matter changes from its form but not chemical identity. The chemical composition will remain same but appearance will change. The composition will be same, but in chemical change the composition will be also changed. A chemical reaction. What is a chemical reaction? A process in which one or more substances, that is the reactants, are converted to one or more different substances. And the products, substances, either chemical elements or compounds. A chemical reaction rearranges the constituent atoms of the reactants to create different substances as products. And chemical reaction, so first of all, what is a reactant? That is, a substance taking part in reaction is reactant and which is transformed into one or more new substances called product. That is reactant and this is product. A chemical reaction is a process, and one more definition is a chemical reaction is a process that leads to chemical transformation of one set of chemical substance to another. A chemical reaction encompass the changes that only involve in the position of electrons in the forming and breaking of chemical bonds between atoms with no change to the nuclei. That means no change to the element present, and can be often be described as chemical equation. So once again it is little confused. That is, it leads to chemical transformation of one set of chemical substance to other. As we discussed that a mixing of vinegar and baking soda, one set of chemical substance to another. If we mix both that, it will change into other form. So chemical reactions encompass the changes that only involve in the position of electrons without informing and breaking of chemical bonds between the atoms. See, breaking the chemical bonds between the atoms and involving only the position of electrons with no change to the nuclei. Means nucleus will not change, only the electrons and chemical bonds, they break the chemical bonds, and can be often defined as described as chemical equation. Next, and one more is nuclear chemistry. So what is nuclear chemistry? Is a sub-discipline of chemistry that involves the chemical reaction of unstable and radioactive elements where both electronic and nuclear changes can occur. And this is one more definition. A chemical change results from chemical reaction, while a physical change is when matter changes its forms but not chemical identity. Example, chemical changes are burning, cooking, rusting and rotting. Example of physical changes are boiling, melting, freezing, shredding. Yes, right. So physical changes, we can say that reversible and chemical changes irreversible, as this topic you have studied in your 8th standard, same in the second chapter. Next, chemical reactions. First of all, what is a chemical equation? A representation of a chemical reaction is chemical equation. So, what are reactants? The starting chemicals are reactants and products the ending chemicals. For example, CH4 plus O2, that is reactant, and that converts to product, that is CO2 plus H2O. And chemical reaction, the procedure during a chemical reaction, the existing bonds of an atom or a groups of atom of the reactants are broken, as we discussed, means the chemical bond will be broken and new bonds are formed, resulting in formation of new substance called products. So this is about chemical reaction, and it is, as we discussed, it is also represented by chemical equation. It is a shorthand from representing the result of a chemical change. So reactants, that is a left hand side. Reactants are written on the left hand side. Write the reaction, that is the substance which are taking part in the reaction are be written in left hand side, and those are called reactants. See, reactants H4 plus O2 are written on the left hand side, and products on the right hand side. Write the products, that is the substance formed after the reaction as a result of the reaction. Okay, so this is about the chemical reactions. What are the characteristics of chemical reactions? Chemical reaction is often accompanied by external indications or characteristics. So let's see what are the characteristics or indications. That is the conversion of reactants into products. That is, conversion of reactants into products in a chemical reaction is often accompanied by some features which can be easily observed. The important characteristics of chemical reaction are evolution of gas, formation of precipitate, evolution or absorption of heat, and change in color, change in temperature. So 5 signs of chemical reactions are taken place, that is light release, temperature change, production of gas, formation of precipitate, color change. These are the signs of external indications. For example, temperature change, formation of precipitate. Formation of precipitate, how certain chemical reactions categorized. Formation of insoluble precipitate. Suppose lead nitrate and sodium chloride will leads to sodium chloride, which gives white precipitate. Copper sulfate plus sodium hydroxide will give, copper hydroxide will give blue precipitate. Next is evolution of gas or production of gas. So evolution of gas, how calcium carbonate, when it reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid, it gives carbon dioxide. Ammonium chloride with calcium hydroxide, the gas formation is ammonia, that is ammonium chloride. 2NH4Cl plus calcium hydroxide, CaOH2, gives the ammonium gas. And next is color change. So copper nitrate, it gives, and when copper nitrate or lead nitrate, it gives the color of blue, and copper nitrate gives blue color, and copper oxide gives black, and lead nitrate gives white color, and litharge gives yellow color. That is change in color formation. That means when it combined with other reactants, and the product will be of different characteristic indications. And temperature changes which proceeds to evolution of heat energy, that will be exothermic or endothermic reaction. So nitrogen, when combines nitrogen and hydrogen, it gives to exothermic reaction, nitrogen and oxygen, so which evolves a heat, which gives a heat. So these are the signs or appearance of characteristic indications of chemical reactions. So tomorrow in the next class we'll discuss about the types of changes or reactions. Okay children, till then bye bye, have a good day.